Can you raise your hand if you have ever met someone who seems to always be performing even when no one asks them to? All right, you may put your hands down. You may know someone who walks into a room and doesn't just want to be seen, but also remembered, or admired, or even worshipped in a subtle way. Now here's a second question. What if that performance isn't confidence at all, but a carefully built mask hiding something much more fragile? And what if sometimes we all carry smaller versions of that mask without even realizing it? Today, let us discuss about the psychology of narcissism. Not as a label we casually throw at people here and there, but as a complex psychological pattern shaped by identity, insecurity, and the human need to be valued. In psychology, narcissism is often misunderstood as simple arrogance. But beneath the surface, there may be someone constantly trying to escape their fears. In psychology, people often feel narcissistic because of their childhood experiences. While some were excessively praised, others faced neglection or criticism. Now, I want you all to imagine a life lived entirely as a high-stakes show where a person feels like they're always waiting to be king of a stage they refuse to share. In this world, life is not something to experience. It is something to broadcast. This is where we see what psychologists often compare to a Wizard of Oz effect. On the outside, there is a powerful persona, confident, impressive, untouchable. But on the inside, there may be someone constantly managing fear. Fear of being ordinary, fear of rejection, fear of not being enough without applause. And that curtain is never fully drawn back, because the performance must continue. And over time, the performer may even forget where the act ends and the real self begins. So, life becomes split into two states: the admired self and the hidden self. But here's something important. Most of us, especially as we grow up, go through what psychologists call identity formation. We experiment, we fail, we try again, right? We slowly build a sense of self that doesn't depend entirely on others. In narcissistic patterns, this process can get stuck. Instead of building identity from the inside out, it gets built from the outside in, based on attention, validation, and comparison. There's a well-known saying in psychology: narcissism is not just about ego. It is often about fragile self-worth. We all have probably heard, the greater the need for external validation, the weaker the internal foundation. And that's the paradox. When someone relies on admiration, the more they need it. The more they need it, the more unstable they feel without it. So they keep curating. They keep performing. They keep upgrading the version of themselves that they show to the world. Now, imagine this. Your friend is a narcissist, but you have no clue what that means. That's not all right, right? Narcissism. Life becomes split into two states: the stage and the curtain, the exhaustion and the performance. This is where we see the psychology of narcissism. When life becomes split into two states, a person can feel less like human and more like someone trying to just impress others by words or actions. That's what we call narcissism. Now, have you ever faced a problem where you have no idea where you're going or what you're gonna do? What do you do then? Do you just stay around, or do you try to get others' acceptance? What I would do is try to get others' acceptance so that I feel more involved. While getting others' acceptance, there is often that feeling of narcissism, mainly called a narcissist. So, when life becomes split into two states, we often feel submerged by all the pressure. This is where we meet the psychology of narcissism. We often do not know how to manage this. We fear that this is just a problem that society brings upon us, right? But that's not the case. We just need to understand how we shall show our personality ourselves. So, I'll end where I began, with a question. If someone's entire identity depends on being seen as extraordinary, what happens to them in moments where no one is watching? Or maybe a more important question, how do we build a sense of self that doesn't depend entirely on others? Because perhaps the healthiest identity is not the one that performs the best, but the one that can exist quietly, peacefully, and fully without an audience. Thank you.